Today on the podcast, we spoke to Dr. K from BFOA, and we spoke about his career in orthopedics and the lessons he learned and moving to Kenwick. So, hope you enjoy. So, every podcast, I always start with the question, how did you get started? And then how did you end up where you are today? The timeline, career timeline.
So, people ask me, how did you wind up in Kennewick? And I always have this silly answer that's, well, it's obvious. And it obviously isn't obvious. So in the 1990s, managed care was really wreaking havoc up and down the west coast of the states. In other words, uh, through California, Oregon, and into Seattle, you had these HMOs and managed care programs that were really disrupting healthcare, and they were really focusing on the big metropolitan areas. So the sweet spot was to find a town that was growing, it had a good economic base, but was too small to really be bothered by managed care so that, the pendulum would swing and then swing away from you and you'd be left alone. And that's really what happened here in Kennewick. So I looked at Boise, I looked at Kennewick, I looked at Poulsbo, any place where you'd make a good living, have a good life, uh, but not get harassed by managed care.
Got it. And I know you did your residency in New York City. What was it like to go from New York to Kenwick? It was probably a big change.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's culture shock, right? I mean, I used to do trauma at 2 o'clock in the morning and then go have Chinese food. You could go to a club till 4 in the morning. Like the first time I walked into a bar in Kennewick in my early 30s and they said they were calling last call at 9 o'clock, I was like, are you kidding me? Like I thought it was too early to even go out, let alone have last call. It's a shock going from, Manhattan to Kennewick. People have no idea what living in a big city is like.
What would you say that you like the most about Kenwick?
I think the thing I like the most is that in 2 hours I can be in Hood River windsurfing. I can ski Mount Hood in the morning and windsurf the Columbia Gorge in the afternoon. I think I can be in Montana in 6 hours. I mean, sometimes it would take Karen and I 3 hours to get outside of Manhattan. Like we
Yeah.
would sit on the FDR for an hour and a half waiting to get over the bridge. I mean, I think the best thing about Kennewick is that access to all the areas around it.
Yeah. When you're in New York, you have Central Park and that's your nature
Pretty
basically.
much, yeah. You can go rollerblade around Central Park.
Yeah. I
My
noticed
wife
on the
and I actually
website.
had a cabin.
Oh,
If
really?
the roads were empty, it was only 3 hours away from New York City in the Catskills.
Hmm.
But that's if the roads were empty. Otherwise, it could take us 5 hours to get there. Whereas
Mm.
now I've got a few hundred acres in the Blue Mountains, and I'm there in an hour and 20 minutes. Like I'm driving up the country road in an hour. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It's probably a nice place to retire then if you like nature as well.
You know, we have a second house in Walla Walla, sort of like our own personal little VRBO.
Hmm.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been in the Midwest a couple times, so I know the feeling, especially Montana, big sky country. So you mentioned a bit about skiing. You are in Washington and you are like an orthopedic surgeon. So then when it comes to being an orthopedic surgeon, is that very rewarding to help people kind of get their life back, get their physicality back?
So one of the things, if you go to my website, it says that my job is to get you back to doing the thing that you did before you got hurt.
Hmm.
And I said that for like the longest time. Like that was always like, hey, I'm not here to tell you what to do and what not to do. I'm just simply here to get you back to skiing if that's your gig, or whatever high risk activity it is until you break something again. And the Orthopedic Academy came up with this brilliant thing, which was called um, the first time again, like the second first time. It's like I learned how to ski, but then I couldn't because of my knee, and then I got a knee replacement, and it's my next first time, and it is super exciting. Like I just had a knee replacement by my
Hmm.
partner, and I managed to destroy my vastus medialis, obliquus, and the rest of my quadricep, and he had to cut it back open and fix it last year, which
Hmm.
was all on me. But a year later, I hit 50 miles an hour on the ski slope. So my partner ought to be pretty damn happy that, he has me back up on skis and trying to break something else.
Did you have surgery then in the clinic? What was that like?
It's a little weird, but it's kind of cool, right? Because like you go into your own surgery place, everybody knows you. You come out with painted toenails,
Yeah.
tattoos on your body in places that your wife doesn't feel comfortable with. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of a blast. It's like a big party. Like I'm kind of a party person. I don't know if like I don't know if you can even see the color of my hair right now, but it's
It's a
purple.
little, you're a silver fox. It's all good.
So it's actually a lot of fun um, when you have your partners taking care of you. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely have to say some nice words before going under.
Well, I got to tell you, when I messed it up, which was all on me, the only thing my partner, Dr. Sherify, said to me was, "Well, that happens.
Yeah, of
Not
course. Of
you,
course.
not you dumb, dumb this or
Yeah, yeah.
that. Just, well, that happens."
My next question is how long have you been in practice for? Since the 90s, correct?
So I went into the Air Force at 92.
Hmm.
I was a field officer and a mobile hospital commander in the Air Force. I got out 4 years later and I came here in 96. So that would be 30 years ago. So
Yeah,
3 decades and I'm ready to pack it in.
of course, of course. And coming out of like in the early 90s, do you think you envisioned everything you have now? Or do you think like if you were to go back, yourself from the 90s would be surprised how far you've come?
Myself in the 90s would be really surprised with how far I've come. But it's in reality, it's not just orthopedics. It's orthopedics and like five other companies that I've developed over time. Everything from real estate
Mm.
to, you know, trading Bitcoin futures and
Oh yeah, of course.
and investing in gold and businesses and things you would never thought you would ever do. Things that people would say to you, uh, "Okay, why are you doing that?" And then 10 years goes by and you're like, "Well, hey, this is why I did that."
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for a lot of people, they don't see, even with Caesar Health, like even with that platform I showed you before this call, like a lot of people don't see the vision. And I've always given this example where it's like, okay, I can give you an AI tool that will increase your insurance authorizations by 15%. And oh, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if I want to try this at the clinic. It's new technology. Do you think if I went to Blue Cross or United and said, I'm going to give you an AI that's going to increase your denials by 15%, do you think they'd say no? They'd be like, let's go, bring it on. So,
I think AI is really going to change everything that we do in the world.
yeah.
Some good, some bad.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
have to have when you have to have code words with your kids so that that phone call is really them and not some bot in China.
Mm.
That's how far AI has come.
And yeah, even in my hometown, there was like a scam where people were calling as AI and being like, "Hey, mom, can I like have some cash? I have a new bank
Yeah,
account." Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
there, we did have something like that.
Oh, it's proliferating, and it's coming out of other countries, and it's indistinguishable at times from the people you think you're talking to.
Yeah.
In fact, for $5, I downloaded a AI app that takes a picture and then animates it.
Hmm.
Uh, so, and I took a picture of my wife and I, and
Hmm.
in a location that she would remember, in a firehouse tower that the kids were with us, and it
Hmm.
generates a AI video of the two of us making out. And then I showed it to her, and she was like, uh, "That never happened. The kids were with us." And I'm like, "It's the power of AI, sweetheart. You're never gonna know
Yeah.
what is real or not real anymore."
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you open
Yeah, I
the
played around with
social
that as well,
media.
some video generation.
Yeah, you open social media. There's no way to know it's real or not real.
Yeah,
I can make
100%,
a
100%.
video of you running down the streets of Kennewick with a zebra. I mean,
Yeah, we've done some pranks on some friends where we've generated some AI videos of them doing some silly stuff, being like, what were you doing this for?
yeah.
What's this video? What's going on? Yeah. How many locations do you have then? There's like a physical therapy location, occupational therapy, and then the Desert Surgery Center as
Yeah,
well.
so we have our main office, which is now on 8200 Gage, which is a relatively new office for us. We've had up to four practice locations in the past, a
Hmm.
physical therapy location, and an ambulatory surgery center location. So we've had as many as, I don't know, six locations in the past. We're now down to basically four. We
Hmm.
have a main office, we have a satellite office by the hospital, and then we have PT, and then we have the surgery center.
Was the surgery center the last one you opened out of all of them?
No, this clinical practice space we just bought probably 4 years ago, renovated
Hmm.
it. So this would really be our newest location. The satellite is also pretty new, but we were up in that satellite in the past as well. So,
Was it always like, were you always interested in getting into surgery? I know that like doing surgeries is like a big deal. Uh,
so when I was in medical school, the orthopods taught in the anatomy lab. So now we're going back to when you're like, I don't know, 23 years old, 24 years old. And
mhm.
the only thing I could remember is these guys are effing crazy. I mean, they are just fun. They're laughing. They're happy. Just always smiling. And I thought,
Mhm.
if they're that happy, there's got to be something to do with what they do, right? And then you look at some of the other people, like the cardiac surgeons, and they don't look happy, you know. And then it
Mhm.
occurs to you, when you stop somebody's heart and then you operate on it for a couple hours and then you have to restart it, that's really stressful. And
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't start back up. So I think that weighs on people. The ortho's kind of it's technical, but like nobody really dies.
Yeah. You
You know,
you're
and
you're improving people's lives.
yeah, I mean, you're not so much saving people, and sometimes you are, but for the most part, you're improving the quality of people's life. And they come back and they're
Mhm.
so happy. They're like, I am so grateful for you fixing my shoulder. Like, I can't get through Costco without three people stopping me, telling me, like, hey, man, I'm so happy you fixed my knee or my shoulder. It's kind of like a big party.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure the clinic's a big party. What does your typical patient look like though in your part of Washington, would you say?
So I've got two different patients. I've got my labor and industry patients, which I do a lot of. So that's the injured worker, right?
Hmm.
And it could be a lot of ag workers, so maybe they don't even speak the same language as me.
Hmm.
So that's definitely one group of people, and I like them. They're hardworking, but they're not necessarily the ones that you relate the most to. The other patient that I have is all the people that I ski with, that I hunt with, that I hike with, and when they get hurt and they come in, it's a totally different interaction because now it's like, hey, we got to get this guy back to hunting elk, or we got to get this guy back up on the slope, and how fast can we do that? And how do we time this surgery? Oh, we don't want to do your shoulder 3 weeks before archery season. We
Hmm.
want to do it right at the end of archery season. So that's the other patient. You're like actually planning surgery based on their academic, not their recreational schedule, which is
Hmm.
kind of fun. You know, like when
Yeah.
are we going to fix your knee? Like I had my knee done October because it was the end of the hiking season, and I could rehab it and still get back up on the slope for the spring skiing.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, you got to time it right. And we've had another orthopedic surgeon on from actually like a ski town, and he said it's all about just getting guys back on the slopes. So
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I mean, in that town, it's skiing. But in our town, it could be like, well, I got water skiing coming, I got wakeboarding coming up in the summer. Well, okay, well, let's do it in the winter.
yeah. Um, I know, like, what's your experience with insurance throughout your career? I know that prior authorizations can sometimes be tough in ortho. Have you had any good or bad experiences, would you say?
So prior auth is really slowing down the whole process of healthcare in America, and I get that it's a necessary evil from a cost standpoint, but um, particularly like for example with labor and industry where they have uh, injured workers that are out on time loss, and in the effort to save $1,000 on a study, they have a guy not working for 2 months waiting for his MRI. It just doesn't seem like a good use
Mm,
of our labor and industry dollars from Olympia. So
mm.
I understand the necessity of it, but I think at other times it has a greater economic cost than actually just doing the surgery or doing the study.
Mm.
But there's always fraud and abuse, and there's always that bad actor. And if you just let the horses run, those bad actors are going to really run. So unfortunately, a few unethical people create a very large problem for a large majority of people.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, I think, especially with what we've been seeing recently. Um, Kind of my final question is like throughout your career, what's changed in orthopedics? Have like surgeries improved? Has the technology improved?
So a lot more technology. Um, Increased technology does not necessarily equate to improved outcome.
Mm,
Um, for example, if you need a robot to do a knee replacement, maybe you shouldn't be doing knee replacements. I mean, and I'm not saying robots are bad, but I'm just saying just because there's more technology doesn't make it better. Um,
mhm,
in fact, many of the older techniques are still just as viable as the new ones. And certainly there's no end to the amount of technology that we can utilize and the cost of that technology. So we really have
mhm,
to weigh, are the outcomes improving with increased cost, or are we just simply marketing new technology for the sake of trying to increase our volume?
mm,
So I would just tell people to be wary of the benefit. What's new is not always improved outcome. It can be. For example, here would be an example. Radical prostatectomy with a robot clearly improves nerve sparing. In other words, for a man who's having his prostate out, statistically it's proven that you're going to have a better outcome with regard to saving those important nerves if you use a robot than not. So we just need
mhm,
data. We need data to just show that what we're doing actually makes sense and not just something new.
mm. Are there any other examples of like tech in ortho you can give?
So um, carpal tunnel release.
Hmm.
Carpal tunnel release was typically done through a small incision like I have in my palm. Um, it's about, oh, I don't know, I'm looking at maybe 1.25 inches at most incision in my palm. Then they came out with this endoscopic carpal tunnel release where you make little cuts and go in there with a scope to do it. And
Hmm.
the reimbursement for endoscopic was twice as much as open when it first was released. And there was this huge push to go endoscopic. I mean, a
Hmm.
lot of hand guys were doing it endoscopic and they were publishing papers on how it's better. And then CMS looked at all that evidence and they said, you know what, we're going to pay you the same for endoscopic as we do for open. And what do you think
Hmm.
happened? The pendulum swung all the way back the other way to open because in the end, it wasn't really about better, it was about reimbursement. And when they
Mm.
reimbursed the same, the the numbers completely swapped back the other way. So now I'm
Oh,
looking at my open carpal tunnel release by my partner, not endoscopic.
well, yeah, that's how it is. That's how it goes.
It's
Uh,
a fee for service system, right? Like I had my oil change yesterday, so after spending, $120 for full synthetic oil, they wanted to, sell me my transmission flush. And you just have to say, I think my transmission is okay. It's a Toyota. I don't think we need to flush it today. How about you just change my oil? But there's
mhm.
always that upsell, whether
Yeah,
it's whether it's getting your oil changed or going to surgery.
yeah.
My
Is it a
final comment would
secret?
be if you walk into an orthopedic surgeon's office with shoulder pain and the first
Uh,
words out of his mouth is there's an operation to fix that, I would go to another surgeon. Like surgery is for when
yeah.
non-operative management doesn't work. Should not be the first words out of a surgeon's mouth.
Do you think that's an issue in orthopedics or no?
I think it's an issue across the board in medicine that you have people that are reasonable and you have people that are mercenary. And I think there's a big, big scale in between. But there's some
Mm.
really mercenary medicine going on in America.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you got to go to lunch. Is it a secret that you're retiring or is it public knowledge?
I don't think it's a secret. Like everybody retires at some point, right? It's like we're all dying. You're dying too. Just, you're just a little, your endpoint's just hopefully a little further away. No, it's not a big secret. I've done this for
So,
a long time. It's time to
yeah.
pass the baton to the kids, and me and my wife go enjoy ourselves.
So, as you pass the baton, what will be your words to the next generation of doctors?
Be fair and be kind.
Awesome, wise words. And is there anything else you think that I didn't cover on this podcast that we should throw in?
I really can't think of anything in particular other than, BFOA is clearly the best orthopedic shop in town. But no, I think all the orthopedic shops in town are great. A lot of people ask me if I know, Josh Bales or, he's another hand guy across town or, do I know John Perry? And I'm like, yeah, those are great guys. No, but if we forgot anything, just come back and visit with me again. We'll always do another podcast.
We could do around two. Well, thank you so much, Doctor. I really appreciate you coming on.